I'm James Elder. Welcome to Full Court Football 24. Quite privileged to be joined by former Manchester United, Leeds, Preston North End, Stoke City, Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry, Bury, Blackpool and Port Vale star none other than Danny Pugh. How are you, Danny? You all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it. I hope everything's okay where you are and things haven't been too testing for yourself.
No. Just been getting back to normal the last few weeks. Obviously, back to work, children back to school, so now start getting that normality back, and hopefully it can continue.
Indeed. I know you're doing very well with your coaching career at the moment and stuff. You've had a fantastic playing career, which I want to look back on today. So I think it's only right that we start at the beginning of this story. Whereabouts were you brought up? What area were you raised in, Danny?
Just a small place called Hume, which is South Manchester. Only quite a small area, and I'm still actually there now. I've moved away slightly, obviously, throughout the career, but I've come back home really. And yeah, I've never ventured too far, to be honest. I know it's just a nice, small, quiet area. A lot of my family are still here, friends are here, so no, I'm more than happy where I am.
Can you tell us a little bit about your early life and your childhood and your early memories of playing football?
Yeah, just I'm a very happy childhood, to be honest. Started playing football, I think, like everyone else at a very young age. The minute I was walking, I always had a ball in my feet or in my hand. So yeah, just joined the local team, probably 8-9 years old. It just went from there, really. So yeah, no, I only have fond memories of childhood, but a lot of it was football from a very young age.
What age did you get spotted for Manchester United, and how did that process work?
It was just playing for the local side, really. About 10 years old, so I went in very young. A good friend of mine was already in a team who's a year older, so I wanted to play, put myself as such. And then it was just playing there. I got scouted 2 or 3 times, and went down to the Cliff, as it was then. Yeah, 10 years old, which seems very young, but no, I loved every minute of it, and that was just like the start of the journey, really.
What was your first impressions of the Cliff the first time you went there?
Just the sheer size of it, to be honest. Obviously, just used to your school pitches, the grass, the muddy pitch and things, but like there was this huge indoor like AstroTurf. And I think the history as you walk into the Cliff of the players that have walked through there over the years, I think that hit me as well. So it was unbelievable. It was a great experience. It's something I look back on with really fond memories.
See, when you first start going to Manchester United and getting involved in the youth team, what coaches would have been around you at that stage, and who was key to your development?
When I first went in at, say, 10 years old, Nobby Stiles had a large part to overseeing the younger group of players. But as I progressed through, obviously 10 to 16, Paul McGuinness and Tony Whelan were 2 names who were very big within the youth development there. I think Tony Whelan is still there. They did an unbelievable job with the young players coming through at that time. There's Warren Joyce, who's I think he's at Salford now, who's my under-16s coach. And then going into full-time, after leaving school, it was Neil Bailey, who was my under-17s manager, who I think he was the one who prepared me for the first team football and let me know what was needed and what was expected if you were going to make that grade up, really, and progress as a professional footballer.
Who would have played in the youth team with you? Who was coming through the ranks at that time in your age group?
Yeah, in my age, the lads who probably went on, there was Daniel Nardiello, had a really good career. Alan Tate, who was at Swansea for many years, he was my same age as me. There was Danny Webber, who was the year above. Darren Fletcher was the year below. Kieran Richardson, a couple of years below. Chris Eagles, a couple of years below again. Phil Bars, who was a few years younger. A lot of the lads in and around went on and had either played for United or went on and had good careers elsewhere.
Was there a lot of initiations amongst the senior players and the younger players at that time? And was there a lot of interactions with the first team squad and players in and around the first team?
You did have your initiation in your first year, which was terrifying time, to be honest, when you just left school, you're walking into this environment of players who you've only really seen on the telly, superstars. So yeah, that's a bit of a daunting thing, but it's an eye opener, I suppose. It gets you involved, it gets you part of it. People get to know you. So yeah, that was definitely part and parcel of it.
What was your initiation? What did you have to do?
We were called into the changing rooms, I think, within the first couple of weeks. And you'd stand up on your own and ask you questions, personal questions. Then you'd have to maybe dance in pairs. You and one of your teammates in front of them, slow dancing, different kinds of dancing, these kind of things. And it was they just do pranks on you in front of obviously the whole group. And it was obviously as a 16-year-old lads, it was quite. You were terrified of it initially, but once it was done, and that was you. You'd kind of pass that threshold, really.
See, when you're coming through the ages at Manchester United, did the youth team have much to do with the senior players? Would there be times where the integration of the younger players with the first team?
Not obviously in the school days. I remember, say, a couple of the first team players every now and then. I remember David Beckham coming at one stage. We were 14, 15-year-olds, so that was a massive real boost for us to see someone of that calibre come and watch the train and have a chat with all the younger players. But it wasn't until we came in full time after leaving school at 16 where you're training in the same place, you're getting changed in the same building, and you're eating with the first team players and you're having that interaction with them. And it's only at that stage you really start seeing them around and mingling with them, really.
What was it like when you was offered your first professional contract at Manchester United?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, really, because, like I said, I think from a young lad, I never saw it as a job or it was going to be a job. I did it. I played football because I loved it. I enjoyed it. And it wasn't maybe till 15, 16 I thought there's a chance there could be a career here. So at 16, to be told they want to take you on like as a YTS, it was at the time, and a professional contract it was unbelievable. It was, even looking back now to think about it, it was exciting times and something I was very proud of at that time.
Like you mentioned, it's a real exciting time to be involved in the club. There's a real buzz around the place. What age did you start playing for the reserve team and getting that experience and being around the first team squad?
It's probably in the reserves, probably about 17. So probably second year as a YT. Started featuring in there, 17, 18 years old. So at that time, the reserves was a competitive league. It was you'd play against your Liverpools, and there'd be 4 or 5 first team players playing. I remember playing Everton, Blackpool, these kind of teams, and there was proper first team players playing, men playing. So that was your eye opener. It was competitive, real football, which I think is possibly lacking now in today's, maybe with the under-23s, that could be a disadvantage to that. But at the time, we were 17, 18, and we were playing against top players, really. They had like the senior players with the strength and the young lads like we had, and we'd play. It was a couple of our first team lads would come into the side. So again, that just gives you the massive boost, the massive lift, and you're constantly learning off players of that kind of calibre.
Now, the initiations of the era and that time are quite famous. What was your initiation to the first team like, and can you remember
that? Briefly. We were obviously in our first year. I think it was the first week or second week, and you know it's coming. You're just waiting for that call, really. And the call comes after one training session. It's right, all the first years into the first team changing room, which is scary enough as it is. You're 16-year-old, all the first team are sat in there, all the reserves, and everyone, and then you're just the focus of everyone's attention. And then, you're just asked to do things, silly things, stupid things. Nothing malicious, to be honest, at that time. It was fun. It was embarrassing for ourselves. I wouldn't like to do it now even, but at the time, it's a scary thing. But once it's done, that relief, you've done it, you've made the initiation, and you never have to do it again, kind of thing. So,
were they all individual for every player, or were they all kind of similar? Like, would certain players have to do things?
Yeah, I think some players may have to do more. If you were, say, someone lively in your group or was a bit chirpier, they'd probably ask them to do a little bit more, try and knock them down a peg or two, and just if they knew that you could handle it, they'd probably pick on you a bit more. But like I said, I didn't feel it was a malicious thing. It was just part and parcel of that time, that stage, and it was all part of the initiation.
Do you remember making your first team debut for Manchester United in the Champions League, coming on for Ruud van Nistelrooy as well? Such a massive moment. What's going through your mind as a young player in the day and the build-up before that?
It's just seemed so long ago, and it's just such a distant memory. And I remember the game, I remember coming on, but I don't remember intricate details of the game and the build-up really, which is quite sad in a way. But yeah, it was a massive moment for myself, my family, and it's something you'd obviously worked all that time for. I don't think you expect it to happen. I think I've been on the bench a few times without coming on. But then to get that opportunity at Old Trafford in front of the crowd, the game it was quite unbelievable, really, and a bit surreal.
Can you remember what Alex Ferguson said to you when he was putting you on? Do you remember anything that was said?
No, it was kind of get yourself warm, and then literally, I think it's done so you're not going to overthink it. I don't think I expected possibly to come and it's like, right, you're on. You don't have time to think about it. By the time you've got your change, got your jacket off, your pads are on, you're ready to go, you're on the pitch. So I don't think they say too much to you. I don't think they let you know, or they didn't let me know too much in advance I would be coming on. And I suppose it gives you less time to start overthinking or getting nervous maybe.
Well, you must have played pretty well, because the following week you made your professional debut in the Premier League, coming on for Paul Scholes, another massive moment for yourself. Do you remember anything about that? Is that something that stayed with you?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it was a massive thing to play. Again, obviously so soon after, and in the Premier League. I think it was against Tottenham, and I think we won the game 1-0. From what I remember, I think it was Simon Davis was up and down the side, down the right-hand side. It was just kind of try and stop him, try and prevent him hurting us. So it's just do the best you can and get yourself on there. So again, another great thing for me, great experience. And yeah, just shame I couldn't have done it a few more times there.
What was Alex Ferguson like as a manager? Did you have much interactions with him as your time at Man United?
He was an unbelievable manager. Going into the place, the success he'd already had, obviously, when I came in, the aura he had around him. He was a fantastic manager, a great man manager. He knew all the younger players even before we were around the first team squad. Knew everybody by name, and just to see him work, how he worked, how he prepared the team. He was just he was an unbelievable person to see at close quarters. And even since I'd left the club, I left at 21. I've seen him a handful of times, maybe when we played against him or in the pre-season games, and he's always made an effort to speak to me, ask questions about myself, how I'm doing, this kind of thing. And for me, it's a massive thing that someone of that calibre, that success, the number of players he has, he still remembers players who weren't a massive part of his team. I was like a bit part player, really, a fringe player, but he's still 10 years on, 15 years on, he'd still approach me and speak to me, which is quite, I think that sums up the manager, says more about him than a lot of other things.
Is it true that he knew everyone's name at Manchester United? Like all the staff, all the players, even the young players, he would, like in particular, know who everyone is and what their job is at the club? Yeah,
he did. I think it's a huge skill, obviously, being part of such a large football club with so many people, so many players. But it was obviously a skill of his. He always seemed to know everybody's name, no matter your age, 16, 17, just walk through the door. He'd know who you are, he'd know where you played, your position. He'd always have time to speak to the younger lads, this kind of thing. So, yeah, that was obviously a massive part of him, and it was important to him, but it also made you as a player, as a young player, feel that much more part of what was going on.
Obviously, his hairdryer moments have been the stuff of legend. Were you in the changing room or dressing room for any of his famous hairdryer moments?
None of the famous ones, to be honest, no. I've seen him have a go at players, but nothing I've not seen hundreds of times since from different managers. It was no different. He had this ability, he didn't really have to say much, but whoever it was, you stood to attention if he walked past, if he spoke to you, and I think he still has that aura about him now. So even before the hairdryer came out or the rollerkins came out, you knew you were going to pay attention. Obviously, his hairdryer, as you call it, are quite famous. But no, I never saw any of the very famous ones. I don't think.
Did you ever experience the hairdryer treatment yourself? Was there a moment where you were in the firing line?
Yeah, I got a couple of I don't know if it was a hairdryer, but I got told a couple of times what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. So yeah, you just got to accept it. You got to deal with it, and you got to be able to recover and go again from it. Really,
seems like the type of manager you really want to play for. Someone that knows how to get the best out of each individual. How did he motivate you as a player?
I don't think he needed to motivate me, to be honest, in the sense where I'd come into a fantastic football club. I wanted to be there. I wanted to play. I wanted to get better. So you motivate yourself. You want to do your best for him, for the team, for yourself. And it doesn't really take him. I suppose it's only if you're slacking off or you're taking your foot off the pedal where you would need that. I think to be at a place like that, if you can't motivate yourself at Manchester United, there's something a bit wrong, to be honest.
Was there a big drinking culture amongst the players at Manchester United? Did the lads go out a lot?
From what I knew, no. I think that was something that had gone on in the past. But I came in the year after they just won the treble. So there was for me, what I didn't socialise with the big hitters as such, you'd call them. But no, I'd definitely say there was a professional attitude throughout, and I think it was that era. I think that had gone 5-10 years prior, and it was more the players that were in the class of '92 as such, the foreign players they were bringing in. There was a complete shift in the culture, and I think that culture at Manchester United at the time had definitely gone.
Players in the changing room at Manchester United, who were the big characters and who were the leaders in the team?
Well, there's obviously Roy Keane was there. He was a fantastic leader, fantastic captain. So he was obviously a main player. Ryan Giggs was a big voice, big player. Again, Gary Neville, another strong character. Rio Ferdinand came in. Nicky Butt was a big personality within the dressing room. So there was huge characters there, not just top class players, but big characters who drove training, really, drove the standards and let everybody know what was expected of you if you wanted to play within that team.
What was Roy Keane like to be around day in, day out? And what was he like as a teammate?
See, I really like him. I like listening to him. Loved him as a player. How he was, how he is. And I think you'd much rather have him next to you on the team as opposed to playing against him. So for me, he was someone, he'd give a 17-year-old a rollicking, but if United just signed someone for 10, 20, 30 million pounds, he'd treat them exactly the same. It didn't matter to him who you were, where you come from, how old you were going to be treated the same, and he'd demand the top level out of you, whether you were 16, like I said, 17, 18, or they just signed you from one of the top clubs in world football. So for me, he was a massive part of that team, that era at that time.
I've heard stories that he would help younger players with contracts. He would go out of his way to drive younger players to training. These are things that we don't see necessarily in the public eye. Have you any experiences firsthand of Roy different from his persona in the media?
Yeah, I think he was just a very driven person. He's a top player, and I think to get to that level, you need that probably tunnel vision attitude. I think Gary Neville used to do a lot of the contracts with the younger players as well. He probably did more of that side of things than Roy Keane, from what I know. But no, he's just a very focus-driven player, and his success obviously speaks for how he the work he did, really.
Some of Roy Keane's punditry's become the stuff of legend. Some of his rants have been brilliant. Is there any moments from your time at Manchester United amongst Roy Keane, or any cutting Roy Keane moments you can share with us?
There was one small. This is just only a small thing. I was playing, I think, the pre-season friendly, and I'd gone in for a tackle, and I didn't come out with the ball. I basically lost the tackle. The other guys got the ball, and he's ripped my head off. He's absolutely laid into me, saying, "I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that for reserves. I've seen you do that before." I don't think he had, but he got in my head that I pulled out of the tackle, or I'd not fully committed to the tackle, or lost the tackle, and that planted the seed in my head. So the next time a tackle comes, everything's going into it. So it's just little things like that. I think you drop a little seed of doubt in your head, basically. Do not come out of a tackle on the wrong end again. It's just little nuggets like that, which I think as a young player, they stick in your mind. So the next time you're in a tackle, you're going in 100%, 110% maybe.
What was Gary Neville like to play with, and is he as committed to Manchester United as we, the public, think he is?
I think he is, yeah. Like I said, I didn't know these people as on like personal level. Really, I didn't socialise with them really. But yeah, he was a top professional. Everything he did throughout the week was to perform as best as he can for the games. Him and his brother, two unbelievable professionals, professional footballers. How they trained, how they ate, everything they did was to prepare rightly. And I think coming away from football, you can see they have that same mindset, that same attitude to whether it be punditry, coaching, that side of things. They are very committed, professional people.
See, after you got your appearance in the Champions League, you then played in the Premier League. Did you have a few more games in the Champions League that season?
I can't remember if it was the same season or was it the season after. I'm not sure. I played 3 games in total in the Champions League. So I only played 7 games all in all for United. 3 of them were in the Champions League, was the Premier League, and then 3 other cup games. So yeah, it was, like I said, it wasn't as many as I'd like to, but I still look back and it's something I am very proud of, that to have played even 7 games.
See, after you're appearing in the Champions League, did you think you were going to start kicking on at Manchester United? They said they rate you very highly to be including you in these squads and getting game time. Did you think that would be the moment you'd break into the first team?
I'm not sure. Obviously, I was delighted to get in to play a few minutes here, a few minutes there. But when you look at who was ahead of me at the time, who was playing in my positions, it was always going to be a big ask to break in on a regular basis, really. And I think that's why at 21 I could see I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to break in on a regular basis. I might play the odd cup game here and there. And that's why at 21, for me, it was the time to leave and try and forge a career elsewhere.
As you mentioned, the time came for you to depart Manchester United. You were then involved in a high-profile transfer and swap deal involving Leeds United's Alan Smith, which saw you going in the opposite direction. Quite an interesting transfer, quite a big deal. Talk to me about it from your point of view.
Yeah, well, I think that I've offered a bag of balls or myself to go the other way. So I think they opted. It just about went for me in that one. So yeah, I don't think I was a large part of that transfer, to be honest. I just think it made it a little bit of a sweetener. But yeah, it was at the time it was perfect for me. Leeds had just been relegated to Championship that season. So I was going into the team, their first year playing Championship football. I was going to a massive club. And it was great. It was the first time where probably I was in the first team and I was very much part of the first team. I was a first team player as such, and that's where I wasn't on the outskirts. I felt well involved with it. So the time was perfect. Going into such a good club as Leeds United, although they were in a difficult time probably in their history, it was the ideal opportunity for myself.
Kevin Blackwell signed you for Leeds United. How did you initially get on with Kevin Blackwell?
Yeah, fine. Obviously, he gave me a great opportunity there to take me to Leeds. So yeah, no, he had some good coaches with him, so the training was good, sessions were good. So yeah, no, I've got a lot to thank him for taking me to the club. I think he gets some bad press from certain people who you listen to and things like that. But yeah, he brought me to the club. He gave me a great opportunity there, so I can't really say too much negatively about him.
When you joined Leeds, the club was in transition, obviously just dropping out the Premier League, the financial difficulties the club had suffered under Chairman Peter Ridsdale. What was it like amongst the players, and what was going on around the club in your time?
It was quite an exciting time in a sense where a lot of the big players from the previous season, the Premier League, had gone. There was maybe a handful left. There was Gary Kelly, Michael Dewberry, Lucas Radaby, Eric Bakker, Seth Johnson. So they were probably the ones left over. And then after that, it was a whole influx of new players, loan signings, new players. So throughout the season, it was like a revolving door of players constantly coming in and out of the club. So the turnaround was massive. So in that sense, it was, for myself, coming in, it was quite exciting times, and you don't pay attention. For me, you don't pay attention to what's going on with the finances, with the owners, with that side of things. You just got to concentrate on the playing side of things, which we did. And it was an exciting time, but I think it was, looking back on the story and the backdrop of it, it was a tough time in Leeds' history, really.
How did you settle in Leeds? I know it's not too far from Manchester. Did you move to Leeds or did you stay based in Manchester?
Yeah, no, I moved. I remember being on right move literally a couple of days before the training ground was quite way out of Leeds, in a place called Wetherby. And I rented a flat in Harrogate initially, which is about 20 minutes from the training ground. And yeah, no, I made it my base for a couple of years, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the area, and I loved the place. So it was a good time for me.
What was the nightlife like as a Leeds player? I'm guessing it's a big club, big city. What's it like going out as a player in Leeds?
Yeah, no, it's a good nightlife. It is. It's live, like I said. It's a big city, busy place, and yeah, no, it's a good place to socialise. Really, for myself, obviously I was Manchester way, so a lot of the times I'd be back and forth weekends wise. But no, like I said, it's a great place, a great city.
What was the bond like amongst the Leeds players at the time? Did you guys socialise a lot together? Was there a lot of nights out amongst the players? How did that side of things work at Leeds?
Yeah, it was. There was a really good, considering so many players had been thrown together. Really, there was a good social aspect to it. The senior players used to organise a lot. We'd do a lot in couples at the time. We'd have nights out with lads and things like that. So no, it was a good time, and it was a good way at the time to bond all the new players together.
How did your tenure at Leeds play out initially? Because I'm guessing Kevin Blackwell, from what I can gather, changed the formation a lot. How did that play out for you?
Yeah, I started off really well. Scored quite a few goals early doors. We were playing a lot of football. So yeah, no, I was obviously loving my time there. We changed to a 4-3-3 when we brought in a couple of different players. And at the time, I was playing left midfield, but I wasn't a left winger as such. I was a left midfielder, and obviously, slight change in formation. Different players came in, so I found I wasn't playing as much football as I was, especially in the second season. So that's why I was there 2 years, and then ended up moving to Preston.
Who's your manager at Preston?
Paul Simpson.
Paul Simpson. How did you initially settle at Preston?
Yeah, again, really well. I joined a team who they were a very good Championship side. I think they just missed out on the promotion the season before with Billy Davis. So I was joining an established team with some very good players. And we were actually very unfortunate to miss out on the playoffs that first year. I think we missed out by, I think we were top of the league at Christmas, and we slipped out, and I think we missed out just on the playoffs at the end of my first season there. So that was obviously a big disappointment at the time.
Huge disappointment for yourself, but you played well enough there to attract interest from a lot of clubs. Stoke agreeing initially to take you on loan with a view to a permanent signing. Talk to me about your move to Stoke.
Yeah, like I said, it was my second year at Preston. I knew Stoke were interested, and yeah, they were very, at the time, they were a very ambitious club. You could see what they were trying to do and where they were trying to go. I'd spoken to Pulis prior to it, and they were, like I said, they were ambitious. They were pushing. You could see they were trying to get promotion, and at the time, it looked like a great club for myself to join. And fortunately for me, it worked out really well.
First impressions of Tony Pulis?
Yeah, to be fair, I really like Tony Pulis. He was brilliant for my career. He's got his way of doing things, his way of playing. But for myself, it worked, and I had some great years under him, really.
What were the sessions like under Tony Pulis? What was training like? How did the players?
It was very structured. A lot of it was on the shape of the team, how you'd stop other teams playing. So I think the big thing about that era, we were very difficult to play against. We were hard to beat. We were solid. We were good at set pieces. But we also had players in the team who were offensively minded. They were good on the ball, good delivery. They could take players on. So it wasn't just 11 centre halves as such trying to stop other teams playing. But we were solid. We knew, everybody knew exactly the jobs. But like I said, on the flip side of that, we did have players who could open up games who were excited to watch. Not that I was one of them, by the way.
Do you think your style of play suited Tony Pulis? The fact that you are quite versatile, you can play in a lot of positions, but you'll be more defensive-minded, especially on the left.
Yeah, I do. I think it helps. I think being versatile, has helped and hindered me probably in my career. I think, especially at Stoke, I played games maybe I wouldn't have played. Like I said, I played left back, left midfield, centre midfield. It didn't bother me playing different positions. I used to enjoy it. I used to work hard, I train hard, and I think he likes that in players. And yeah, so I probably suited what he wanted. Like we went into the Premier League. I wasn't probably a Premier League player, but I'd do a job. I could slip in, like I said, different positions. So yeah, no, I probably suited what he needed from me at that time.
How would you describe his man management? How did he handle the different characters and different players within the team?
Yeah, like I said, there was people who wouldn't have enjoyed playing with him, but for the majority of us at the time, he was good. He could treat probably certain players differently, a bit better. He gave a few of the flair players, you'd call them, maybe a little bit of leeway, a little bit more rope they can play, but the rest was structured. And again, like I mentioned, he didn't care who you were as such, whether you're a local lad, if he just signed you big money, you'd still have to do what he expected of you on that day-to-day basis on the training ground.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your loan move back to Preston North End and the reasons and regarding that move?
Yeah, there was I wasn't in the side at Stoke. And there was myself and Michael Tonga mentioned earlier on. We were both on the outskirts, really, of the team. I wanted to go out and play. I needed to play. I needed to get games. and Preston had got in touch with Stoke about taking the pair of us, and they were struggling at the time. Darren Ferguson was the manager. I think they were in a bit of relegation dogfight, but we just wanted to go and play some games. And unfortunately, I think it was 4 games we were there for. We played maybe 4 games, and the manager was sacked due to the run of bad results. So that was disappointing. As soon as he was sacked, all the loan players were sent back to the parent club. So it was just a very short stint, really, to be honest.
As soon as you returned to Stoke, Tony Pulis offered you a new deal, which I find quite good and quite strange. Like, if you're not starting games, obviously he must have valued you enough to want you around the squad and around the team.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it's quite strange, like you said, to look back on it as well. But I'd be out of the team, I wouldn't play, and then you'd be thrown in against, Arsenal at home, right, you're starting. So you could never switch off, or you could never feel you were completely out of it. So although I didn't play week in, week out, obviously towards the end, I still felt a big part of the team, big part of the club and the squad, really. And I still felt a valued member, and I would get to play like decent games, although not every week, which in the end, that's why I did move on.
One decent game you did get to play was the FA Cup final, which is a massive game for any player. Were you involved in the build-up in the cup games toward that final?
Yeah, I think I've been very much involved in the early rounds, starting the games, and then we played Bolton in the semi-final at Wembley. I came on in that towards the end, and again in the cup final I came on towards the end again. But just to be part of that, obviously the run to the semi-final, to the final, to be involved with the team, the squad, and then obviously to get on the pitch was great. Disappointing. It was a disappointing game, to be honest. We probably didn't perform to the levels we could have done, and I don't think City did either. It wasn't a great final, but we were disappointed to lose the game. But to look back and to have been part of an FA Cup final is something quite special.
Yeah, I guess it's bittersweet memories for yourself when you look back on something like that. See, fantastic achievement to get to the final and as a team, but not getting that winners' medal. I guess it must be something that haunts you a little bit.
Yeah, you obviously you go there, no matter who you play, you think we genuinely felt we could have won the game. We were against top class opposition, but on a final, you've always got that chance. So we were disappointed. I don't think we performed to the levels on the day we could have done or we had done prior to that. So yeah, it was disappointing to obviously walk up the steps and get your losers medal really and watch them celebrate. But a great experience nonetheless.
Was it a difficult decision for you to leave Stoke to rejoin Leeds? Talk to me about that process.
Yeah, again, no, because I got to I wanted to play. Wanted to play more games, and again, Leeds. I'd been there. I'd loved my time at Leeds. Fantastic football club, and to have the opportunity to go back, it was quite difficult to turn down, really.
Who was the manager that signed you for your second time at Leeds?
Simon Grayson.
Simon Grayson. How did you initially get on with Simon Grayson?
Yeah, he was great. Really good. He's a successful manager. He's done very well with several teams out of League One, Championship. I really enjoyed working with him. Again, he was a good coach. The sessions were good. He had good people around him, other staff, and we had a really good, decent players, good squad. And again, yeah, I think we could have, with the players we had, the squad we had, we should and probably could have done better than we did.
Versatility again at Leeds is really helping your career. I know you played a lot of games all over the pitch, filling in centre midfield quite a lot as well. Do you think that again that's really helped you stay in the team and keeping you in the squad? The fact that you can play so many positions.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's times when it does help you, but I also think there's times with not having a set position as such, you can lose out. So if I play well left midfield, but then someone gets injured, centre midfield, I'll fill in. But if he comes back, the centre midfielder comes back, I might be out of the team, no matter performance-wise. So no, I think you do play games maybe, especially like higher up. I'd play games probably I wouldn't have played because I was versatile. But I think there is times when you do lose out for not having that set, stable position. But it wasn't an issue to me. Like I said, I enjoyed testing myself in different positions. I enjoyed playing different positions. I enjoyed the challenges of playing in these different positions.
Simon Grayson departed the club and Neil Warnock came in. Big character, Neil Warnock. How did you initially get on with Neil?
Yeah, no, to be honest, with Warnock, it just didn't really work for me. I was looking forward to working under him, to be honest. I'd seen the success he'd had prior to that, obviously coming to Leeds. But no, I don't think he was having me as a player or a person. I don't know. And it just didn't really work out. I played the first few games for him. But it was in that period, I think I went to Sheffield Wednesday on loan. But no, the Warnock, it just didn't happen for me, to be honest. It just, like I said, I don't think it was a personal thing. Didn't like me as a player, as a person, but it just didn't work out.
Did you speak to him about it? Was there like a conversation between you both on why you wanted?
Yeah, 2-3 times I spoke. He said he said he was pleased with me. He said I'd surprised him how well I'd actually done once I'd come back into the side, and then to come back in a new, it's like on a fresh, clean slate really. And again, no, I never thought I was given that chance. I think I deserved. Like I said, I was looking forward to playing for him, but I maybe wasn't given the opportunity I felt I deserved under him.
Out on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. Talk to me about that move and everything that went on with that process.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Warnock was the manager. And he'd called me in and there was a chance of going to Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, Paul Butler was actually there in part of the recruitment who I played with at Leeds. So I knew him. I'd spoken to him. And he'd asked if I'd be interested in going. And it was, I absolutely loved my time there. We were in a relegation scrap really for that back half of the season, but it was brilliant. We ended up doing well. We stayed up, and it was a shame really I couldn't have stayed the following season. I did genuinely enjoy it. I loved playing under Dave Jones. Stuart Gray was there. And again, it was a fantastic football club, fantastic fan base. Great stadium. So no, I genuinely loved my time there.
You scored a fantastic free kick as well to win them some points in that very, very valuable relegation clash. Like you said, you got on very well with Dave Jones. Was it a tough choice then to go back to Leeds? Did you genuinely want to stay there?
I just think it was how it worked out. I was still under contract to Leeds. It's not always as easy to sort things out. It just didn't work out. And I think a new manager came into Leeds. It came to the end of the season, went into the summer pre-season, it just never materialised again. But like I said, I was open to it at the time, but it didn't happen. But being at Leeds, I was happy again, obviously, to go and give that fresh start. We go again and just do my best there.
When you returned to Leeds, Brian McDermott was in charge, Neil Warnock had gone. Was that a relief for you as a player to come back knowing that you've got a new manager, it's a fresh start?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I felt like it was a clean slate. And like you said, it's a fresh start for myself. And new manager, new coaches, some new players. So yeah, it was a fresh start, and it was something that I look forward to.
22 games that season. The club then, for whatever reason, didn't renew your contract. Was that your decision partly, or was that a decision solely based on the club?
No, towards the back end of that season, I'd done well. I got back into the team. And it was actually the last game of the season. Brian McDermott literally we passed in the corridor, and he said, "I can't offer you anything for the fact that I don't know what I'm doing." I think it was all up in the air with the owners, with his job. So again, that was football. I was disappointed because I loved playing there when I played. I thought I'd done well the back half of that season. But it was out of my hands in a sense. At that stage, so no, it's one of those things. You get on with it, and you've got to try and look elsewhere to see what the next challenge is really.
What was your options at that time?
To be honest, not many. I just turned 30, and I think at that age, people do start questioning, obviously, your age, what your fit levels be like, this kind of thing. And no, it's the first time, I think, in my career, I struggled getting a club. There was nothing blatantly obviously for me to walk into. So no, it was quite a difficult summer and a long summer. My agent, yeah, you'll be fine, we'll be sorted. Then you get into June, into July, nothing sorted. So no, it was quite a worrying time really. But obviously, it eventually sorted itself out. It was probably the longest summer I've had in football, apart from this one with COVID. That was extra long, but that was probably my longest summer in football, just with not knowing really where I'd be playing and what I'd be doing.
After the end of that summer, you signed professional terms with Coventry City. Talk to me about Coventry as a club and the process of joining them.
Yeah, again, a great club, a club in trouble. Again, was the stadium, the fans, the owners. But I was looking forward to playing. But for me, nothing to do with the football club. It was my most disappointing period in football, that one season. Second game when I got injured on my ankle, which I didn't think it was that bad at the time. So I had injections, which didn't work. And then I ended up having an ankle operation, which briefly worked for 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think. And then I redid my ankle, so I needed another operation. So throughout that whole season, I was injured for probably 80% of it, something like that. So I think I played 7 games. But nothing against the football club. Great people there. Another great big football club. But for me, it was my hardest year, I'd say, within football. Just being injured with a new club and not being able to influence anything or help out really.
Do you think that time took a little toll on your mental health because you've had such a tough process in finding a new club, the stress and that goes on everything with life, I'm guessing, of not knowing where you're going to be based and where you're playing. Then on top of that, you've sort of made it a lot worse by suffering an injury a couple of games in. How did you deal with that as a player, and how did you come through that mental anguish?
Yeah, possibly. It's something I've never really looked at or thought about, to be honest. It was just I just had my second child, so I was up and down the motorway quite a lot. I was living in and out of hotels, so the whole thing was not ideal at all. But yeah, it was a difficult year, but I think it's part and parcel of being a footballer. You are going to get injured. For me, it was bad time and it was a bad injury. But it was how hard can I train? Can I recover? Can I get back to where I was? I remember the surgeon just before I was going down for surgery said, "Do you hope to continue playing?" Which was a worry. Just as I'm literally about to go under the knife, and I thought surely we could have had this conversation a while ago. But he was kind of saying, "Do you expect to continue?" And I was 30 years old. I was fit. I was healthy. So. Yeah, it was a difficult year. It was a tough time for me, but it was. For me, it's part and parcel of being a professional footballer. There's people having a lot worse time than I was having, just with an ankle. I knew myself, if I could get fit, I'd be okay.
Did you get yourself fit before Tony Mowbray came in as manager?
I was injured when he came in, and I may have trained the last week under him. Or it was literally that touch and go. But he came in and I was injured. And I think at the very end of the season I got fit, but not to the level where I would impact the team. It was too late to kind of force my way into the side, from what I remember.
Talk to me about the decision to join Bury.
Yeah, again, I'd had a bad year, and a friend of mine, Chris Sedgwick, was first team coach at Bury. It's a relatively local club to myself, and he said about coming in, training with them in pre-season, just to get fit, really initially. So it was perfect for myself for having so long off at Coventry injured. It was perfect to go into into Bury, into the team straight away. I think first, second day pre-season I went in, so I was able to get my fitness, train with them, get the football side of things in, and build my way up that way. And I'd kept myself fit over the summer because I'd had so long off. So I went into the club fit, and I think that helped. As in the CV, they saw I was fit, I was healthy, I was in good shape, and I think that helped me get a contract there.
Did you enjoy your time at Bury? Bearing in mind that you've played at such a high level, now you've had the injuries as well. How are you dealing with that? How are you coping with it?
Yeah, to be fair, I absolutely loved it. I feel like I keep repeating myself. Apart from the Coventry thing, no matter where I've been, I feel lucky where I've played, who I've played for, who I've played with. Bury were training at Man City's old training ground at Carrington. So the facilities on that side of things were fantastic. We had some really good players there. We had Flitcroft as a manager, really good manager. So the sessions were great. So no, it was absolutely ideal for me. It didn't bother me that I'd played probably higher. I loved it. It was great. I was still playing football and I was still enjoying what I was doing.
Talk to me about the decision to join Blackpool.
Yeah, again, that was they'd offered me a contract at Bury, but it was something I couldn't really live on. In a sense, it was kind of, they were struggling financially, and it was not that the money was an issue, as in I wasn't playing for the money, but it was kind of a half-hearted offer as such. So I knew it was probably time to move on. And then in the summer, I just spoke to Gary Bowie. It was just the first week of pre-season, and he asked if I'd come. They were in Scotland at the time at St Andrews, and he'd asked if I'd come and just. He said what they were looking for. And he said, would I come and train? Would I come down to Scotland and meet them for their pre-season? I think it was week 10 days. And again, I was happy to do that. So I drove down to St Andrews, had the week there with them, and yeah, did well. Enjoyed the place, enjoyed the manager, enjoyed working with them, and then yeah, it went from there.
Were you made club captain there?
I was, yeah. That season, the start of the season, I was made captain quite early on, which was quite strange of a new player coming into a team. But there was probably quite a young side there. I was an experienced player, and everyone was very good with me and happy that I'd been asked to do that.
Playing for Blackpool in League Two, no doubt you're standing out in that league. You're winning accolades, and people are talking about you again, potentially playing at a higher level. Was that the reason for your move to Port Vale initially?
No, see, this is quite a strange one, the Port Vale one. We were actually in a hotel in Blackpool as a team. We were halfway through the season, where we were in the league. It was basically a team discussion on how we're going to get promoted, what we need to do to get promoted out of the league. Then halfway through the meeting, the managers called me in to just pull me out of the room and said to have a chat. And he said, Michael Brown's been on the phone at Port Vale. He wants to take you. And I played with Michael Brown, so I knew him. And I think Gary Bowie thought I'd initiated that contact, which I hadn't. So it went from there, really. It was quite strange. I was happy with Blackpool. I was, like you said, I was club captain, and I had no interest in leaving at that time. So it was very out of the blue and a big surprise. But within 24 hours, I'd left Blackpool and had time for Port Vale, which, in a strange one, Blackpool got promoted and Port Vale got relegated. So I don't know if that was a good move.
Football can be ironic at times as well. I know manager Michael Brown wasn't in the job too long. How did you initially get on with Neil Aspen?
Yeah, no, fine. No problem. Like I said, I've known Brownie, I played with him, and I enjoyed playing under him. It was just disappointing how it actually worked out and finished him in the end. So yeah, but no, Neil Aspen came in, again, a new manager, new style, new way of doing things. And again, it started off well under him, but unfortunately it deteriorated as it went on, and we didn't do as well as we should have done.
Under Neil Aspen at Port Vale, was that when you first initially started your coaching? Would that have been, I know you're club captain, but would that have been the first time you started coaching other players?
I'd actually initially started when I was at Bury, just doing little bits with the U team, watching, taking a couple of sessions with the younger lads. So it was there I'd really thought and started like trying my hand at it really. Then when I left Blackpool, I just started my A licence that summer. So I went into Port Vale and I'd spoken to them early on saying, look, it's something I want to start getting involved in. And I used to go on a Wednesday night with the academy from 9 to 16s and just help out there. And again, just try my hand at it. So towards the end of Neil Aspen, he'd asked if I wanted to get involved on the coaching side of things while I was still playing, maybe taking a passing drill, maybe taking a little bit of possession or do little bits with small groups of players. And while I was still playing, it was the ideal kind of gateway into my next path, really. Then the assistant manager, Brabs, left. I think he left during the season, and I was asked if I'd go in and basically as first team coach, which I did.
Neil Aspen's tenure at the club was cut short. You're then thrusted in as caretaker manager. How was that experience for you?
It was actually something I really enjoyed. It was obviously not a nice time. Somebody's lost the job. I knew I wasn't going to be manager. There was going to be a new manager coming in. But these players, I'd been friends, I'd been teammates, so it was quite a strange situation to be in for myself. But it was only, 3, 4, 5 days. But it was something I enjoyed. I felt I learned a lot from it. It maybe gave me a bit of fire for that. Maybe that's what I want to do somewhere down the line. We were supposed to play Tranmere that weekend, so we'd had the team, we'd planned the team, how we're going to play, players wise. But unfortunately for myself, the game did get called off due to a frozen pitch. So I remain undefeated as a manager. So I'll happily take that. And I could walk around the 20-odd lads and tell them they were going to be playing at the weekend, and so they were still old mates with me. I was going, yeah, you were playing, you were definitely starting on Saturday, so I could do that to about 20 of them. So yeah, it was win-win really.
I was just going to say that. I guess you didn't have long enough to really judge the experience, but the players treat you differently when you're the manager. When you go from teammate, from sort of being one of the lads to then being the one who chooses what lads play.
I think while I was under Neil Aspen as a coach, I was more of a player helping out with the coaching. But it wasn't until John Askey came in, I kind of made that crossover where I didn't get changed with the lads anymore. I didn't travel in with the lads anymore. I had a desk in the office, so I've made that clear line. And it is a strange transition because, like I said, these lads, teammates, friends, car school, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side, and you want to know what we're doing in training, why we're doing this. So I get all this in my ear, if anything bad or do you want the inside information. But no, it's been brilliant. It's been a great experience for me. And I've genuinely loved every minute of it so far.
When was the decision to hang up the boots full time and take on the coaching as a permanent fixture, permanent job? When was that decision made?
That's still a tricky one because I'm still in denial about that. So I am still registered as a player, although I won't play. I'll be there. I'm there if needed. Like last year, I was on the bench a couple of times due to injuries. I think one of the lads' Christmas wife went into labour on Christmas Day, so Boxing Day, I was on the bench, which is surprising. But I train maybe 2-3 times a week. I might train with the lads just numbers wise, or if I'm needed for that. But I've not officially hung my boots. I am still registered to play, so I'm still trying to deny that. But I would say last season was my first season where I felt I'm no longer. This is my next challenge. This is my next role. I am no longer a player, and this is the direction that I want to go down now.
But it's quite good for the manager. It's like, sort it out, lads. Pick your socks up, or we'll be putting the coach in at left back, left wing, maybe even centre midfield.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They'd have something to say about that, the lads, I think.
How are you finding working with other players? Because sometimes the best players don't often become the best coaches, the best communicators. Sometimes don't find a way of inputting that information. How are you finding your role as a coach at Port Vale?
I don't think I was one of the best players. I think a lot of mine was down to like I was a hard worker, I was a grafter. I used to love training, love playing. I wanted to improve, wanted to get better. I've played through every division, so I feel like I've got a good all-round grounding really of football. I've seen it at all levels, so I feel I can help players in that sense. But yeah, it's something I just like to try and pass on a little bit, so I know, and just try and help mainly the younger players where possible.
When you become a senior pro and you're now established, do your habits change? Are you more determined to set a better example for the younger players? Or is it easier to fall into some of the badder habits of the senior players? How does that work?
I've always tried to, I know it probably sounds a bit boring, but I have genuinely tried to always do things right, training-wise, how you live, how you diet, that kind of thing. So no, I think you try to set a good example now to the younger lads. But they're I think as the game's going on, they're happy to do that. They know more about the diet, they know more about the gym work, they know more about how to prepare for games, the sleep, the rest that's needed. If you want to make it as professional footballers, I think you have to live right, or you do get out these days.
You've had a fantastic experience and playing under some fantastic managers, a broad spectrum of coaching, a different way of doing things from the likes of Alex Ferguson to Tony Pulis to Kevin Blackwell. I mean, you've had a massive input of coaching into yourself. Do you feel that you've taken a lot of aspects away from these coaches and added them to your own repertoire or portfolio of coaching?
I wish I could say yeah and take a snippet out of all those names you just mentioned. It's hard to say. I think it's too early for to say myself now what I'd be like. But I have tried to take little bits from each person I've worked under. For the last maybe 7-8 years, I've jotted training sessions down throughout just to try and what I've enjoyed doing, what I've not enjoyed doing. Try to learn that way. I try to take little nuggets of what people have said or how they prepare for games, how they prepare for training, how they train. And hopefully in the future that'll leave me in good stead, and that forms my philosophy, how I want to do it. But I don't think I could copy a Sir Alex Ferguson or copy a Tony Pulis. I think you become your own person with your own values and your own ways of doing things. So yeah, I feel very fortunate for the people I've worked under, and hopefully I can just take little snippets from each and every one of them.
Do you see yourself in the future working your way through the coaching pyramid? Have you got aspirations potentially to take more badges and maybe become a football manager yourself?
Yeah, I don't know what the end game is for myself at this moment in time, if I'm being honest. Maybe I should have a direct path. But yeah, I definitely want to stay within football. I'm currently doing my A licence now, which I've enjoyed doing. I feel like I'm learning a lot day-to-day basis while I'm doing that. So that's good. And yeah, it's something I definitely want to progress doing, and maybe management is something down the line. It's far too early at this moment in time, but yeah, I think something down the line I'd definitely like to try my hand at.
I've got to say, it's been fantastic to listen to your career journey today. I want to thank you ever so much for sharing stuff with us and coming on to Full Court Football 24. And we look forward to following your coaching journey from here on in. Thank you very much, Danny.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Top. I appreciate it, mate.